Hello everyone, welcome to Wildwood Studio. I'm Sarah, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a wood burning of a chipmunk. So the first step, as always, was to sand my panel and transfer the image I wanted to burn. Sanding is important because it makes burning a lot easier. For this chipmunk, I'm working on a 6x8 basswood panel, and I'm using my razor tip wood burning tool. The reference photo I used for this was taken by my friend Peter. If you want to see more of his photography, I'll link to his Instagram in the video description. I chose this picture because I liked the way the chipmunk was balanced on this metal bracket. I thought it created a nice dynamic pose, like you feel like he's about to jump off. I started with burning the chipmunk's face, and I used my spoon shader pen. I like to do this because it shows quick progress if I start with the face and the eyes. When I had some of the face filled in, I went ahead and burned the metal bracket he's sitting on. I did this with my spoon shader as well, and then outlined it with my knife tip pen. I don't normally use outlines in my work because I want the animals to look realistic, but since this is a man-made object, an outline felt more appropriate. Another thing I did with this burning that I don't normally do is I added some flowers in the bottom left corner. I've wanted to start experimenting with adding more elements into my burnings and not just burning exactly what I see in the photograph, and I'd be interested to know what you think in the comments, if you think these flowers were a worthwhile addition or not. I think I'd like to start being more creative with the compositions of my burnings and adding in some extra elements like this, since what I usually do is just look at a picture and burn exactly what I see. Once I was done outlining the bracket, I went ahead and outlined the flowers as well, since I already had my knife tip pen plugged in. In the beginning, I was considering coloring the flowers, but I decided it would draw too much focus to that corner, when I still want the subject of the burning to be the chipmunk, so I decided to just leave them shaded. I think if I was going to do that, I would have had to add color to the top corner of the burning as well to maintain the balance, and this was already pretty busy for the size that it is. For the chipmunk itself, the fur on its body is fairly short, so I did it with short little strokes with my spoon shader pen. He also has the classic chipmunk stripes, so that was just a matter of changing the speed of my pen strokes and working slower in the darker areas, as well as going over those areas more than once to create depth. I also adjusted the heat for this, but not by much. With the range and tones I needed to get for this one, most of it could be done with speed. It's always easier to start low and go slow than to turn up the heat and try to rush and burn something too dark and not be able to go back. As I worked, I also used a regular white eraser to remove my pencil lines. I like to do this so that I can see how the burning looks without the lines and burn darker where it's necessary, because sometimes the undersketch is actually defining part of the image, and when I erase it, I realize it needs more shading. Once I finished with the chipmunk's body, I went ahead and shaded the post on the right-hand side. I always find it a bit funny putting a wood grain on a wood burning. I don't know why, it's like I'm disguising this wood as a different wood. So I did that with my spoon shader as well. The tail was also a little bit difficult because the hairs are longer, so my pen strokes were longer, but it's also interrupted behind the metal bracket. So I had to shade around that without it looking like the hairs start and stop on either side of it. Also, the color change in his tail is quite defined, but it's not like a lot of places where the different colors are different hairs. For this, the tips of each hair were darker than the base, so that's a little difficult to do as well without it looking like two separate layers of hairs. The last thing I did was to shade the flowers. I decided they needed some shading to tie them in better with the rest of the burning. I wasn't going to shade them originally when I thought I was going to color them, but when I decided not to do that, I thought they could use a little more depth, and I'm pretty happy with how they look. Then I just went over a few things one last time to touch it up and fix any areas that were bothering me, and it was done. So here's a picture of the finished burning. As always, please let me know what you think in the comments, and if you want to see more of my work, you can check out my Facebook page or follow me on Instagram. Also, please make sure to like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss all my future art videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.